Sometimes I watch a show that I just can't stop thinking about. Occasionally it's a Breaking Bad or Game of Thrones, but increasingly it's the outliers that stay stuck in my head. Shows that might have only lasted one season, too experimental or niche to attract a large audience. Shows I never would have heard of if they weren't online. Total Forgiveness is a 10-part 2019 web series about two comedians who devise increasingly difficult challenges for each other in an effort to pay off their student loans. Successfully completing a challenge will net each contestant a cash prize, but if either of them fails a challenge, the other player will take their prize money, which increases every episode. Part of the reason Total Forgiveness interests me so much is that it's able to take risks as a result of being an online streaming show with a built-in fanbase. Total Forgiveness breaks away from conventions of most reality competition shows in three key ways: by building on an existing audience relationship with the contestants, through efforts to highlight the making of the show, and its willingness to allow a major shift in tone and formula in its last couple of episodes. This unscripted storytelling feels particular to online spaces, and I hope to demonstrate how Total Forgiveness is able to use that unique position to its advantage. The term parasocial relationships, coined by Donald Horton and Richard Wall in 1956, describes the development of a one-sided relationship with a public figure, and has become an important talking point in recent years. While there are plenty of problems with parasocial relationships, I want to focus on the idea that we naturally develop some level of a parasocial relationship with any entertainer we watch a lot of, and that savvy storytellers are able to use this to their advantage. I've watched a lot of College Humor. They're one of those companies that have developed a very specific online presence that for me acts as comfort comedy. College Humor's subscription streaming site, Dropout, has focused on unscripted competition and talkback series, which has fostered a friendly online presence, described by their CEO, Sam Reich, as a group of people who would be friends if they weren't all working together. Total Forgiveness starts with the assumption that the audience is, at the very least, familiar with the context that this is a show about people who write and star in comedy for a living. This allows Total Forgiveness to get quite intimate with the lives of its two hosts/creators/contestants, Grant O'Brien and Ali Beardsley. Over the course of the show, they invite cameras into their homes, meet their parents, and openly discuss how having enormous student debt has affected their lives. The show also predicates itself on the specific personas that these cast members embody. Grant O'Brien plays the role of a perpetual horn dog klutz, fluctuating between sex jokes and pratfalls. Ali Beardsley, by contrast, is the cooler-than-thou newbie to the cast, prone to pushing themselves to the fringe for a joke. Each challenge is based on activities the players know the other will find awful, which makes Total Forgiveness hilariously unpredictable and hard to replicate. Taking advantage of being part of a distinctly personality-driven comedy site only available behind a paywall, Total Forgiveness is able to appeal to existing audiences, familiar with the host's established personas. Total Forgiveness loves to bring its audience behind the camera, letting a fly-on-the-wall approach inform both the structure of episodes and an aesthetic focus. Almost every episode follows the same basic outline. Grant and Ali pitch their ideas, we see reactions from cast and crew, followed by a montage of preparing the challenges. Throughout, the production team, directors, designers, hair and makeup, and animal wranglers, fail to become invisible, prompting the contestants with questions, chatting about their own student debt, or just making inside jokes with their co-workers. This focus on the people who bring the show to life is exemplified in Total Forgiveness's opening scene. Grant, Ali, and producer Adam Frucci have set up cameras outside CEO Sam Reich's office and surprise him by filming the pitch of the show. From the word go, the audience is invited to engage with the creation of the show as part of its story. The larger cast of College Humor pop up sporadically, leaning on the assumption that the audience is familiar with them from other productions. We even cut into other sketches and shows being produced at the same time, showing how the filming of Total Forgiveness impacted them. This solidifies the show's focus on the production process and rewards fans for greater investment in the platform. There are two major takeaways from this approach to looking behind the curtain. Firstly, the reminder that, as real as the emotions of the show can be, those moments only exist because somebody was there to film it. And second, constant reinforcement of how much work goes into starring in, competing in, and producing a show deeply centered on your public persona, and how draining that can become. The tone of Total Forgiveness changes dramatically in the last handful of episodes. Over the course of the show, Grant and Ali have had to ramp up their challenges in line with the increasing prize money, and the balance has started to tip, pitching your flatmates on an MLM, having to get drunk every morning for a week, and performing awful stand-up. At the end of episode 8, Grant attempts to make $1,000 by selling everything he owns and fails. Almost everything in his apartment is gone, and he hasn't even won the prize money. As Ali and the other producers comfort him, we get an idea of the full effect of spending weeks on a production that exists to mess with its contestants. In episode 9, Ali tattoos their girlfriend's name on their neck, and Grant humiliates himself in front of a crowd. Both of them are still committed to finishing the show, but in confessional moments, they admit how negatively Total Forgiveness has affected their friendship. Episode 9 ends with Grant, fully mortified, walking off set. Nothing is cut, there's no attempt to make things funny. Episode 10 is different. Rather than starting with our contestants, we meet their co-workers, who talk about how awkward this show has made things in the office. Instead of the regular challenge pitching, Grant is sent to Santa Monica to discover he's been challenged to enjoy his day at a theme park. Ali has softballed him. Grant responds in kind, and in the glow of a series finale, the awkwardness melts away, and the two friends open up about how awful it's been to drive a wedge between their friendship for money. In a final twist, Ali, up by 13 grand, intentionally fails the final challenge, letting Grant take the full finale prize of $20,000. In this finale, Total Forgiveness shows a complete willingness to destroy its premise. Over 10 episodes, the concept has proven itself to be emotionally destructive, financially draining, and heartbreaking to watch. An experience that isn't a million miles away from drowning in debt. In a different show, which had expectations of ongoing success, of the need for regional remakes and celebrity spin-offs, this kind of ending is impossible. It's proof that the concept of the show was always flawed, and that replicating it with different contestants would result in a completely different show. By gleefully upending its own concept, Total Forgiveness takes what would otherwise have been an unsatisfying downer ending and turns it into a reflection that the people we care about will always be more important than money. Since it was first brought into people's homes, television has had strictures it needs to abide by. Television is distributed to a mass audience, often across entire nations. Television is limited by a need for advertising and neatly categorizable programming. Television has to keep you coming back for more. The internet has changed things in a lot of ways, and it often seems like the next best thing is just over the horizon. Dropout, a premium streaming site created for a specific audience, made by creatives with free reign on what they produce, seems like it was made to step outside some of those strictures, but that only works sometimes. In 2020, College Humor was dropped by its parent company. Dropout is still operational, now owned and operated by Sam Reich, but shows like Total Forgiveness weren't profitable enough for a commercial business to keep funding it. Total Forgiveness does a lot of things that inspire me. It strives for honesty, transparency, and self-reflection in a medium where those ideals are notoriously difficult to translate. Matched perfectly to the medium of streaming in an influencer age, it provides a genuine emotional experience, takes a strong stance on the student loan crisis, and gently reminds us how fabricated even the best reality shows are.